Welcome to the Vedanta channel. In this episode, I will provide a brief introduction to Hinduism and to the context in which Hinduism arose. Thousands of years ago, humans began settling along the banks of great rivers, the Nile, the Yangtze, the Tigris and the Euphrates, and the Ganges. Great civilizations arose, and with them emerged the first urban tenements. As people settled and began to live in close proximity to each other, they also began to examine the timeless questions surrounding their existence. In the Middle East, they asked, "What is the nature of God? How can I find God?" Their answers were, "God is compassion itself. Prayer is the way to reach God." Beautiful answers. This gave rise to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In the East, along the banks of the mighty Ganges in India, an entirely different set of questions arose. The Hindus of yore asked, "Who am I?" and "What is real?" Thus began a 10,000-year journey into the workings of the mind and the understanding of the self. They were arguably the world's greatest philosophers, but we don't know their names or other details because they chose to be anonymous. They have performed an astonishing array of mind experiments, subjecting themselves to austerities of the severest kind and designed to gain mastery over the mind and to see what lay beyond it. This resulted in Jainism, it resulted in Buddhism, it resulted in the Vedanta of Hinduism. The Hindus proclaimed that there is only the one. They called it Brahman. They also proclaimed that your true self, Atman, is Brahman itself. Aham Brahmasmi, they said. The ancient savants prescribed such a realization of the nature of the self as the highest of human goals. You are Brahman. You just need to see it, they said. What higher accomplishment can one have in life, they asked. See Brahman not just within you, but within all of creation. The consciousness that animates you and makes you come alive is the same consciousness that breathes life into everything else. There is no multiplicity. There is only the one, and that's you. If you shine the light inwards, perhaps you may see it. Perhaps you may even become it. A general observation may be made about India and the Hindus at the start. Here, more than any other place in the world, at any time, is found a mindset predominantly occupied by matters of religion and philosophy. This quality is pervasive, as it is possessed as much by the original settlers as it is by the invaders. From time immemorial, the Hindus have displayed interest and often a passion for theology. From the Raja to the lowly peasant, the Hindus have sought to inquire into the nature of the world and its reality. Few works of art or literature are secular. The varied intellectual and aesthetic efforts of India, distinguished and breathtaking as they are, have been expressions of some religious phase sweeping the land. This love of discussion and speculation, which has persisted to the modern age, created an astonishing and unlimited variety of creeds and theories, and equally considerable, if limited, variety in practice. There are few dogmas and isms known to the rest of the world that is not held by at least some of India's multitudinous Hindu sects. It is thus impossible to make a single general statement about the Hindus, to which some groups would not be found as an exception. As confounding as Hinduism is when it comes to affording neat and bounded descriptions about itself, it is very definite and unmistakable. In whatever shape you may see it, it can be recognized immediately. And yet, it is so vast and multitudinous that no formula may summarize it. Writers and historians have floundered among conflicting propositions, such as the essence of Hinduism is sectarianism, or that no educated Hindu belongs to a sect. Either can be easily proved or disproved. As it was once said of zoology and evolution, you can prove anything about Hinduism if you merely collect such facts which support your theory and not those which conflict with it. For some commentators, Hinduism is fundamentally monotheistic and Vaishnavite. For others, Saivism is its crown jewel and essence. Yet others will aver that all forms of Hinduism are tantric. These views often arise as a consequence of overweighting the facet or phase of Hinduism that interests one the most. And all of them are equally true while being diametrically opposed to one another. While Hindu life may be dissected into castes and sects, they are ultimately not mutually exclusive. They attract one another, intermingle, and paint each other with intricate shades of color. Albert Einstein once remarked that genius was the ability to make room for and simultaneously hold two or more conflicting beliefs in one's mind. If we are to believe him, the proliferation of ideas, theories, and beliefs that started in ancient India, which ultimately came to be known as Hinduism, has been nothing short of genius at play and in motion over thousands of years.